He's an associate professor in the College of Buddhist Studies and also the dean of the College of Buddhism in Dongguk University in Seoul, South Korea. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yep.
Kind of. It's the Austrian way of pronouncing it. It's fine. The main field of research is the doctrinal history of early Buddhism and Buddhist culture in South and Southeast Asia. And he has worked in the Department of Indian Philosophy in Seoul and worked in the fields of early Indian Buddhism, and also has his doctorate from the University of Oxford, and teaches courses about early and sectarian Buddhism. And so we're staying in the thematical way of the last presentation, when it's the theme is now about Buddhism and trying to resolve conflicts. And thank you.
Thank you for the open-hearted introduction. And my name is Tony Hwang, and I'm from Seoul, South Korea. I belong to Dongguk University, and Dong means east, and Guk means south. So Korea is located east of China. So Dongguk means Korean Peninsula. So that's the name of our university. And the Dongguk is affiliated with the Korean Buddhist Joge order, which cover around 80% of Korean Buddhists. So Dongguk University is a kind of institution Joge order try to make Buddhism and Buddhist research and Buddhist idea all around Korean. So I was working as a dean for almost 5 years, and last 3 years I've been coming here working with Martin and all of our members to do this cross-culture religious studies together, and I'm very happy to come here every year with a deep expectation. Maybe we can all see next year as well, and if we can do it. So this subject, in the past some school, I was actually talking about Buddhist way of dealing with the conflict. I was talking about the ideas, which we cannot fulfill. But in the reality, there are many things we can actually solve. So this time, I'm focusing more on the things where we cannot make any peace. So I want to talk about ideal and the reality, kind of a conflict occur within Buddhism. So how we deal with it, what the Buddhists can do is very little. Imperial Japan, many Buddhists in Japan, they might well panic, useless, against kind of a group or ethnic power going over the individuals, whether they are Buddhist or other religion. Each individual may panic. We can't do anything about it. Maybe if we did gather together, as Martin said, it will give a big impact in the society. But during the time, I don't think we can have a serious impact. So there are many cases within the Buddhism. So I will just start. How does Buddhism approach conflict resolution? Are there specific methods within Buddhism for mitigating conflict? Fundamentally, Buddhists stand in opposition to conflict, violence, and killing under any circumstances. Teaching assert that engaging in violence or killing, regardless of one's status, inevitably leads dire consequences. Yet our world is like with innumerable perpetual conflict, almost as if violence were ingrained within the human nature as a means of resolving dispute. If we have a conflict, naturally we should. At times, the Buddha actively involved in conflict, striving to correlate, while while in other instances, he found himself hopeless to intercede and merely being witness to unfolding violence. It appeared that even the Buddha's effort had their limitations, ultimately leading to an acceptance of a world inherently conflict-ridden and violent nature. So those four kinds of things usually appear in the last days of the Buddha. I'm not sure whether it is a historical fact or Buddhist stories made up to explain or justify later when Buddhist has to explain some of the things that occur in India. But last days of the Buddha, as we hear from the Buddhist tradition, is very, very, very sad story. His, most beloved two disciples already passing away. His, homeland accompanied by other kingdom, and his, nephew, his cousin, challenged him to hand over Buddhist order and so on. So, like the story of the Buddha presented to us, is very, very peculiar. It is a story of the perfect being or supernatural person. It should be perfect, beautifully decorated. But the Buddha's life story, at the end, we can see many sad stories. So we can see how Buddhists can justify, actually show us how Buddhism actually dealing with the problem occurred during that. So when the Buddha was born and working, the India was separated into small countries, and the Buddha was born in Nepal, but used to work in the country called the Magadha, and sometimes he go to Koshala. So there are small states, not the huge power. But at the end of the life of the Buddha, situation is changing. He has the royal support from the king Bimbisara of Magadha and the king Pasenadi from Koshala. But the old king passed away and the new king appeared. The relationship between new king and the Buddha was not actually good. And he also was aging. So his grip on the Sangha is weakening. His grip on the royal family also is getting weakening. So Buddha actually confronting the reality of the world reality. So this is the kind of situation about the Buddha will pass away at the end of his life. Many kingdoms disappear, and the kings and everything changes. So India is the turmoil in the northeastern part of India. Last day of the Buddha was involved in internal as well as external conflict. In Magadha, his cousin Devadatta, the monk, with the prince Ajatatta, challenges the internal leadership within Buddhist Sangha against the aged Buddha. So he actually tried to kill, Devadatta tried to kill the Buddha 3 times in the story. We actually can see. And the Buddha was also involved in external conflict. In the kingdom of Koshala, Prince Viduddhava wants to have a revenge against the Sakya tribe. And Sakya is the relative of the Buddha due to his birth status. Buddha cannot do anything about it. The Buddha was sitting helplessly under the bare tree, trying to prevent his own family wiped out by the army of Koshala. But he did 3 times and then gave up. Both conflicts have got devastating effect on the aged Buddha to deal with. Internal conflict leads to spirit of Buddhist Sangha, Buddhist community, and the external conflict has ended up with the annihilation of Sakya tribe. But there are some successful cases when the Buddha intervened. One of them is Rohini river conflict. It's difficult from the cases successfully settled down under the leadership of the Buddha when he was relatively young and active, such as the Rohini conflict. When there was a drought, Rohini river water level was going down. So both the Sakya clan and Olya clan living side by side. When the water was going down, they tried to make a dam to have more water. So they fighting each other. So this is the Sakya, the Buddha's relative, Golya was down. And the Sakya men usually get married with the Golya woman. Golya woman get married with the Sakya. But when there was a drought, they were almost fighting each other. Eventually, conflicts occur. The Sakyas and Golyas are going to fight each other. And the kings in each side appear there with their armies. The Buddha appeared in the middle between them, asked, which is more important? The value of water in Rohini river or value of noble warriors in both sides? It's a kind of appeal from common sense. Any religion can do it. But this was the rare cases where the Buddha succeeded. Both of them regret their hot-tempered reactions and they stop fighting. But when the Buddha was getting older, that no longer worked. The first case is Devadatta and Prince Ajatasattu in Magadha kingdom. Devadatta was an ambitious monk and the Buddha's cousin and brother. And Ajatasattu was the crown prince, eager to rule the kingdom. The alliance between the two became a dangerous combination. So the young monk actually go to the Buddha reporting Ajatasattu and the prince getting very close, you should do something about it. The Buddha said no. It may be something not that important. But Devadatta tried to challenge the Buddha in front of the whole Buddhist Sangha. He said, you are old. You should retire. You should hand over a Buddhist order to me for 3 times. And the Buddha refused. And the Buddha actually said, I would not hand over Buddhist order to Sariputta, Sariputta and Moggallana. Still less you, Devadatta, you come and live with. So this type of word, the Buddha hardly have any bad word, but this is one of the exceptions where the Buddha said, you are listening. It's a kind of attack, personal attack of Buddha appear in Buddhist canon. Devadatta was then expelled from Buddhist Sangha, and the Buddhist order has withdrawn its confidence from Devadatta, who henceforward, in whatever he did or said, would be acting not in the name of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, but purely as a private individual. So he was actually removed from the membership of Buddhist Sangha. Then Devadatta advised the Prince Ajatasattu to remove the king Devadatta. His assassination attempt was not succeeded, and he was caught. But the king, the Devadatta, wants to protect his son. So he led the Prince Ajatasattu to rule the Magadha kingdom. And as soon as Ajatasattu became king, he caught his partner, put him in the jail, and he was starvation to death. The king, old king, starved to death in jail because of the Prince Ajatasattu. Devadatta and then wanted the king Ajatasattu to remove the Buddha from Buddhist order, but young king refused. So Devadatta tried to kill the Buddha 3 times. First time by soldier, second time by elephant. The third time with a huge stone rolling down from mountainside, and all attempt to fail. But in the third cases, the Buddha was a serious injury, hurting the legs of the Buddha, according to the text. So Devadatta hired a soldier to kill the Buddha, but he couldn't in the first attempt. Second attempt, he put something to the elephant charging into the Buddha to kill him. But the elephant suddenly stopped in front of the Buddha because of the charisma, because of the nature of religious leaders. Elephant suddenly stopped. And third time, Devadatta himself tried to kill the Buddha by rolling the huge stone to the Buddha. Almost he succeeded. According to the Buddhist text, it happened in the Vajji peak. Vajji peak, the one of the peak in Rajagiri, and currently Rajagiri in India. If you go there, it's kind of rock area where many stones actually coming down from the cliff. So many people thought that story might have some kind of history. Maybe Devadatta or some other people try to remove the Buddha by rolling down the stone. Then eventually, Devadatta then made his own order by raising 5 issues against the Buddhist order. So Devadatta thought Buddhism and Buddhist monks too relaxed. We should make a Buddhist order more strict. So he said Buddhist monks should follow those 5 issues. Buddhist monks should live whole life in the forest. Buddhist monks shouldn't have any house because they are Shiramana. Shiramana means wandering ascetic from home to home. But many monks during the Vasa, they stay in the temple. Poland, in Korea, in Asia countries. But Devadatta insists monks should be in the forest for all life, just like a lifetime ascetic. And eating alms food only, morning alms food, they get it and they eat it. But nowadays in Korea or Thailand or Myanmar, there is an invitation from the Buddhist laity, and monks, together with many monks, go to their home and they have really good meals, kind of a big treat. That's not good for the Buddhist order, according to the Devadatta, should be prevented. And the rest in law from the left, some monks wear some luxury law, that should be done. And sleeping under the tree. Monks usually sleeping under the tree, but during the Vasa, they stay in the one place, vihara, comfortable bed and nice food and so on. So that was not good. And the last one, strict vegetarian. In Buddhism, I just started not a vegetarian culture. Buddha thought food itself is not important. If you have a desire for the food, then you will develop attachment. That attachment will make you do some bad action. Then you will have the consequence. So Buddhists try to eat whatever they can get it from the arms around. They just eat. But Devadatta requires very, very strict vegetarianism to the Buddhist world. The Buddha, having looked at Devadatta's 5 issues very carefully, he made some changes on the rules monks should follow. Firstly, monks can keep number 1 to 3 if they want, but not obligatory. So if they want to become more strict, it's okay. It's their own reason. But it shouldn't be any compulsory. For number 4, monks can sleep under the tree for 8 months. And then they can stay at temple for 4 months during the Vasa, the rainy retreat. Because of that, in early Buddhist order, the cave temple become very popular. Because during the Vasa, rainy season, they can stay in the temple. And then time goes by, monks eventually stay in the temple, not go to the forest at all. So Indian monsoon, serious rain coming down, and suddenly everywhere become a waterfall, and nowhere you can hide. Under the tree, not possible. So early Buddhist order make a cave temple where they can stay for 4 months. This is the Vajji cave in India, where you can see step by step they built a huge vihara. Vihan means lay people coming to the Buddhist temple, donation, everything, and come. In order to do that, monks should stay. So initially here in Vajji cave, monks stay only for the rainy season, rainy retreat for 4 months. But they step by step decided to stay for whole year. How do we know that? You can see here this corner, this corner. If you go up there very carefully, there is a hole, and the hole links to the water tank. The huge water tank actually developed, even the fish living there. I asked about it to my Indian colleague, how many monks can stay without having any water from any other sources? How many days they can stay? And my Indian colleague said, 10 to 20 monks can stay 1 year without having any trouble with this size of water. So they built this size of water tank in order to stay there. And maybe local people asked them to stay. But staying in a temple is not a good excuse, because they are Shramana. Shramana means wandering ascetic. Shouldn't have any house, abandon their home. but step by step, And the number 5, monk can eat meat and fish as far as the animals were not killed for them. As far as the animals were not killed for them, monk can eat fish and meat without cheese.
Roadkill?
No roadkill, or maybe they bought from the market, something like that. That's okay. So even nowadays in Sri Lanka, Sangha, if they want some meat or fish, they ask the owner of the house. When you invite, you shouldn't kill any fish or pork for us. You should buy it from outside. That's the kind of thing. The vegetarian religion in Buddhism developed quite late, usually with the Mahayana movement, together with the influence from very strict Hindu vegetarianism. Only occurred around the 1st century, 2nd century AD. So many young monks followed them.
1st century before Christ, before common era.
Before and after. We don't know exactly when it was implemented. So many young monks actually followed Devadatta, and they had their vihara at Mount Gaya. Though early Buddhist texts insisted Devadatta's order disappeared soon, and his order seems to, but his order seems to continue until when Chinese pilgrim monk Paxing he actually reported, I met a monk, who insists I'm following Devadatta. So actually, Devadatta's order actually succeeded him. So which means this internal conflict ended up with the spirit of Buddhist Sakya, and Devadatta's follower actually separated from Buddhism, but they continued. That's not China. Dealing with the external conflict. Here also we have one successful case. Young King Ajatasattu raised a professional army and moved the Mahabharata's capital city north to the southern bank of Ganges River. And this new city is called the Pataliputra, which means nowadays Patna, the capital of a state, Bihar state in modern India. So during the time when Buddha was young, the capital city was founded at Rajakti. But during the time of the Ajatasattu, they moved their city to Pataliputra near the Ganges River. So when they moved there, they saw the northern part of the India, that was called the Vajji Federation. The young king thought we should conquer them to secure our new capital. King Ajatasattu wanted to attack Vajji Federation at north of the Ganges River. Vaishali of Ratchatis become target of Magadha army. Before the attack, Ajatasattu sent his general Vasakara to seek advice. The Buddha said 7 conditions. Buddha talked about the 7 conditions for the Republican state stability. These are the 7 conditions. The Buddha said, if any republic follow these 7 conditions, they can live forever, according to the Buddha. So regular and well-attended council meetings, decision by consensus, holding fast to traditions and laws, care for the aged people, protection of women and girls, and the maintenance of a sacred place, making proper provision for visiting religious saints. And the Buddha said, Vajji Federation, they actually keep those conditions. Even though Magadha army attack them, you are not going to succeed. Buddha tried to stop them. So General Vasakara reported to King Ajatasattu that it is not a good time to attack Vajji Federation due to its fair and righteous rule. The king gave up. It is one of the successful interventions of the Buddha. But later, at the end of the life of the Buddha, Vajji Federation collapsed due to their internal dispute and the unrest, and conquered by King Ajatasattu. So Buddha can make the army of Magadha to Vajji Federation at that time, but he cannot prevent the attack later. Actually, the thing occurred, he cannot. So about the time, the royal succession occurred, and then India, northeastern India become very, very contested between the two kingdoms, Koshala and Magadha. So, in this situation, we have a more serious failure of the Buddha's intervention. The king Pasenadi of Koshala, the overlord of Shakyas, was a noble warrior class. But the Buddha belongs to Shakya. But Shakyas were considered themselves as being higher caste. Shakyas were very proud of their high caste status, and the king Pasenadi then wants the Shakya princess to get married, to raise his status up. The king Mahama of Shakya had a daughter, Vatsava Patiya, born from his slave girl. So her father was the king, but her mother was a slave girl in the palace. Shakya declared her to be a Shakya princess and sent her to Koshala. And she was married to King Pasenadi and have a prince called Viduddhava. Viduddhava became crown prince and visited Kapila Vastu, his mother's hometown, which means the Buddha's hometown as well. Shakyas were very careful not to reveal his birth secret, but eventually Viduddhava found out his birth status. He saw one Shakya slave girl was washing the royal thing. He used with the milk to purify. She was saying that Viduddhava, son of a slave girl, had said and divided, so we should purify. So he became very upset. Viduddhava wanted to have a revenge by washing Shakya tribe with the blood from their cells. The king Pasenadi of Koshala became very upset when he knew the secret. But from the advice from the Buddha, he accepted the mother and son as they are king and crown. Then King Pasenadi of Koshala made another mistake. He killed the general Bandula and his son with false charges. And the king regretted his action, and as an act of repentance, appointed Bandula's nephew, Kalayana, as a new general. New general Kalayana, looking for the chance to revenge his uncle. When the king Pasenadi visited the Buddha, he removed his badge of royalty, ceremonial sword and turban to give Kalayana to look at her. The king Pasenadi and the Buddha was old friends. When the king met the Buddha with the royal custom and the crown and so on, they are meeting as a king and religious leader. He tried to remove it, so he met the Buddha as a friend, something like that, person to person. While two old friends were talking about a long time, the general Kalayana, he left with the royal symbol to Prince Viduddhava. With this symbol, you can become the king. That's the King Pasenadi meeting the Buddha without having any royal costume, because they are friends. When Prince Viduddhava declared his kingship, old King Pasenadi went to Rajagriha to prepare his revenge with the young king Ajatasattu. But the old king died there due to his sudden and long journey. So the Viduddhava became very stable king. The first thing the king Viduddhava wanted to do is to his revenge against the Shakya tribe. The Buddha knew Koshala army was attacking Shakya kingdom. On their way to Kapilavastu, he sat under the fruit of a tree with the bare branches, receiving very hot afternoon sun. King Viduddhava saw the Buddha and asked why you were under the fruit tree. The Buddha replied, "O my king, the shelter provided by kinsmen is food." So the king understands the intention of the Buddha and he brings the army back. Yeah, just like that, the Buddha just sitting there. Buddha's intervention intervened Viduddhava's revenge 3 times. But at the 4th time, the Buddha gave up. And it eventually led to annihilation of Shakya tribe. So Shakya tribe tried to keep the Buddhist practice. The first one not killing. So they tried not kill any invading army from Koshala. So one by one they all died, according to the Buddhist text. Kapilavastu, the child called the home of the Buddha, totally destroyed at the attack of the king Devadatta. And then Sakya people, some of the Sakya people survived from the massacre, built another Kapilavastu, south of south of original city. The former became Kapilavastu 1, current day Tilaurako in Nepal, and the later become Kapilavastu 2, the current day Piprava in India. So you can see here, this is borderline between India and Nepal. One is in here, one is here. One is in Nepal, one is in India. So there still is a fighting on the childhood home of the Buddha between India and Nepal for initiative of Buddhism and the Buddhist movement. So many Indian people insisted. Kapilavastu is in India, Piprava, and many people in Nepal said Buddhism, Nepal is a home of Buddhism because the Buddha was born in Nepal, in Tilaurako. So these things still continue, this kind of thing. If you want to see them, Nepal Kapilavastu is a Tilaurako. T means number 3, and Laura means pillar, Kop means hill. The hill where there is 3 pillars. Very Buddhist name, actually. If you go there, kind of very low hillside where you can see many ancient building areas totally destroyed, and we can see some kind of war occurred in there. And also, if you want to see the Piprava here, this is the borderline between Nepal and India. Just 3 kilometers down from the borderline between Nepal and India, located at Piprava, and which was discovered by William Pepe. William Pepe was a colonial engineer, controlling those areas under colonial government. And then he became amateur archaeologist, and he tried to excavate one of the hills belongs to him. And then he got the jackpot, and under this hill he found kind of coffin for the first time we actually discovered in India. Inside of this coffin, he had 5 relic chest, and one of the relic chest here actually inscription. In this inscription, in this down there, Iyam Sharira Nidame, Buddhasa Bhagavate Sakya. This relic chest belongs to the Buddha, the blessed leader of Sakya tribe. So this may be the original, Sharia was preserved in that relic chest. So many people starting to believe this is the place where Sakya actually lived there. And they built a stupa there, a huge stupa if you go there nowadays. And many Indian people continue to believe this is the original place of Kapilavastu. So dispute still continue. We don't know which one is it. So how Buddhism actually justify all those terrible things? We usually talk about law of karma. Law of karma is more important. Why the Buddha gave up? At the post time when the king Devadatta attacked Kapilavastu, his hometown with the last of his relatives. Buddhist answer is law of karma. So law of karma, according to Hindu tradition, one of the old Upanishad, Brihad Aranyaka Chandogya Upanishad says, Punyo by Punyena Karmana Bhavati, Papa Papena. So a man turns into something good by good action, turns into bad by bad action. So the result, whether it is good or not, will be the outcome of their action in the past. But Buddhism is different because if we follow this, once a good person, forever good person, because of good action will bring good result, and the good result will become another good cause and another good result. So once good person, forever good person. So once Brahmin, forever Brahmin. So the Buddhist one is different. In the early Buddhist canon, the Buddha said, Jettana ahampika ve kammam padami, jetta itwa kammam karoti, kayena vajjaya manasa. O monk, I declare, intention or will is indeed action. Having intended, we act through body, speech, and mind. So for Buddhism, intention is more important. So whether you are acting with a good intention or bad intention, you will get the result. And the result is neutral, not good result, happy result. If you are acting with a good intention, you will have a happy result. If you act with a bad intention, then you will have an unhappy or sad result. So, according to the Buddhism, that kind of action does not perish even after hundreds of millions of cosmic years. When the right conditions gather and the time is right, they will have their effect on embodied beings. Which means one is responsible for one's own action perpetually. We can't escape. That is why until when we got the result, we are reborn again and again, and then eventually we will get the result. So Buddhist karma is a kind of extreme individualism. So one is responsible for one's own action. So if we looking back from the present, Buddhist karma is a fatalistic and a kind of determinism. But things at the present are already determined by in the past. But if we looking Buddhist karma to the future, it is alternative and a kind of motivation. One's own future will be made by action in the present. So at the present time, if we see the future, our future happiness will be determined by our current action at this very moment. But if we go back from present to the past, what I am is already determined by my past action, which we cannot change. So Buddhists want to live a life with a full of good intention in every moment of their life, neither attached to past goals, nor committed to achieve future goals. Just the present is most important. So that's the Buddhist karma. So perhaps the old Buddha felt the gap between Buddhist ideals and the worldly reality in various disputes he has encountered. For Buddhist ideals, we usually talk about metta and karuna. Metta means loving kindness, and karuna compassion. So metta means being happy when other people are happy. Karuna, being sad when other people are sad. So Buddhist ideal is a maha metta and maha karuna, which means there is no distinction between ours and others. Just feeling the same for all human beings, all living beings. Almost impossible. Every living being are equal according to Buddhism. So I have one Jataka story where the Buddha, in the former birth story of the Buddha was born as a monkey. It is called the Mahakapi Jataka, great monkey king story. And this one actually shows the story. Lots of monkeys living in the mango tree. The Buddha was the leader, and he eat the mango. It's too delicious, and he thought, any mango coming down to the river, you can see the fish there, which means river, coming down to the human village. When they eat it, they thought this mango is very good. Then human beings will come in, and the old mango will die. Because the mango is very special fruit. If you have a very nice mango tree, you always get excellent mango. Poor mango tree, you can't get it. So the best way you can eat the best mango, you should go there. So the Buddha thought we are in danger. So one day, every monkey sleep, one mango going down, and we eventually go to the human village. And the fisherman give it to the king. And when the king eat it, that's the best mango he has ever eaten. So he raised the army, go to the mango tree. So here the king, together with the army, go there, and the king saw such an excellent mango eaten by monkeys. So he ordered his army to attack them. So this is from Borobudur. They use bow and this one, the bamboo tree. They have some kind of very sharp thing, something like that. Very Indonesian, thing they actually use. They try to kill all the monkeys. So when all the monkeys terrified, monkeys wants to have a way to be saved. So the monkey king at the time was the Buddha. The Buddha said, "I will show you the way, don't worry." And then he jumped from that tree to the other tree, the other side of the river. And then he calculated the distance between the two. And then he cut the clippers. And then another one clipper put in, attached to tree in the other side. Another one attached to his body, and then he was jumping back. But at this moment, the Buddha, the monkey king was not perfect. Buddha became perfect, and then he was born as a Siddhartha, and then he became the Buddha. He became perfect. But this moment, maybe 3 or 5% not that perfect. So he actually not calculated the portion of clipper attached to the tree and attached to his body. So the clipper was short. So he stretched his body, and linking the tree with the other tree. So the name of this Jataka, make my body as a part of a bridge for the escape for all my subjects. So part of his body become escaping. So he asked all the monkeys, you should have a safe place there. So all the monkeys just going to the other side. I like this Borobudur one. All the monkeys going for the safe become very happy. You see the face of them, but at the moment, Buddha has a rival, who was it? Devadatta. So the second most powerful monkey in that group was Devadatta. And Devadatta saw his chance because the number one monkey showed back, to them. So instead of just going down, he just had a big jump and jumping back to break the backbone of the monkey king. So monkey king was almost dead. The human king sitting there, so the self-sacrifice of the monkey king, which human being cannot do it, but the animal actually do it. So he asked his men to save the king. So they use kind of cross to get the monkey when the monkey is going down. So you can be similar thing here and here as well. When the monkey king was survived, the human king actually invited the monkey king, and the human king asked him, "I saw you did extraordinary sacrifice, which humans cannot do. I think you are the perfect leader. You are perfect kshatri, perfect warrior. Tell me, what could be the most important thing the real kshatriya should do?" And the monkey king said, "If you really want to become a real kshatriya, you should love even the enemy of your army. If you can care of the army of the other side, then you will become the real monkey." Then the king passed away. The monkey king passed away in this story. So that means, even the enemy, according to the Buddhist idea, should be the same care, saving, loving kindness, and sadness. We should develop individual level, and then state level, and it become bigger and bigger. So almost impossible. But reality, Buddhist universal morality of not killing, loving kindness, and compassion seems not to function properly when it was faced with the collective ideas such as nation state, racial identity, with the outburst of conflict and violence among different groups. It is not possible. Law of karma could be Buddhist excuse for various disputes that are realistically impossible to resolve. In various conflicts, Buddhist remedy is a cure for the cause. We must prevent conflict from occurring from the very beginning. That's the only way Buddhism actually can do. We cannot change what happened already, because what we are is an outcome of what we did in the past. But we can change what will happen in the future. So let's say the Buddhist way of dealing with the conflict, each individual living with a good intention in every moment of their life, together with the spirit of responsibility for one's own action perpetually. So everyone do that. Maybe we can build a society where there is no more conflict and dispute. Thank you very much.
Any questions related to the Monkey King story or other stigmas?
Very, very interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of things we can refer here on how Buddhists might find reference for dealing with this, or dealing with conflict. So I studied conflict, violence, and in the theory of violence, one of the conditions for violence to happen is bystanders. Because of someone who witness violence and they do not do anything. That's what we call bystanders. Listening to your presentations, I felt that there is a great potential for Buddhists to become bystanders in violence. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure. This is one part of the story. I'm on the early Buddhism in India and Southeast Asia. But we have a different Buddhism in East Asia, Mahayana Buddhism, and also in Central Asia we have Tibetan Buddhism. Both of them has a different way to solve kind of problem. But as far as early Buddhism is concerned, maybe.
So is there any part of this that may motivate a Buddhist to become more active in resolving or in voicing against violence or war?
Buddhism is a kind of a religion trying to be away from society to seek for enlightenment in the other side.
Yeah.
So far in the history of Buddhism, Buddhists try not to intervene social issues, not to intervene kind of a conflict between two countries and so on. So that's the basic position. But sometimes we cannot avoid, then we tend to intervene. When I check the whole history of Southeast Asia, Thai people, Malaysia, and so on, Buddhism become not the religion of peace, but Buddhism become a cause of conflict, endlessly occur among the countries. So we have ideas, but reality is different. So we have to explain. So in this case, the story of annihilation of Sakya, we said that's because of karma. The former act of Sakya people, very bad. They are very proud of their caste state, make people very humble and so on because of the taken. So that's kind of answer suggested, kind of explanation, a poor explanation suggested from Buddhism.
Thank you.
Say something about it. Yeah. Yeah. We had two lectures now about Buddhism and conflict, violence. In the first one, I kept thinking about parallels. One of the parallels that what struck me was the relationship between the Catholic Church and various ruling states in Europe in the Middle Ages and through the Renaissance at least, and even later, of course, through the Nazis' Pope, since Martin invoked a little bit this issue between the two lectures. So it's clear that whatever ideals there are of what a Christian should do, looking at the messy history of the last 1,000 years, makes one wonder what can honestly be said about this abstraction that we're calling religion. And I think that I'm starting to have the sense that we may see in case after case that this, our conversation this week about religion, violence, and peace building can really only can work if we embrace a kind of abstraction that has no history, or maybe we could talk about the history of that abstraction. When you talk to an evangelical Christian about violence committed in the name of Jesus or the church, they'll say that's churchianity, not Christianity. There's always an excuse for why history is unimportant, but that's what seems to be the case is that even the Catholics and the Protestants were at war for centuries. It seemed like an impossible conflict to resolve. And the Crusades, and we heard about the long history of Buddhism. It wasn't a short history, what we heard before you. And I just, I wonder what is the takeaway from, for our discussion of your presentation? Are you creating a kind of a mythic ideal by invoking the stories of the young Buddha and the old Buddha? You said you weren't saying anything about their historicity when you began. So I imagine these are, I don't know how old the stories are, and I don't know the reception history and whether they were made to serve different interests historically, but that would also be interesting to me to find out who told the story and why and for what purpose and to justify what, but how do you, and you said in the beginning you work at a university that's sponsored, by the state's leading 80% of the Buddhists are this kind, and you're the university of this. So, are you intentionally creating a kind of Buddhist ideal for emulation without, knowing that there has never been any actual realization of that, because everything has always taken place in the mess of warring tribes and factions and princes and kings and abbots and what have you.
I see you what you're talking
I'm
about.
just trying to kind of, what's in your mind, like what do you, what's the picture you're
Such a kind of story, maybe later justification from the Buddhists, because during the time when northeastern part of India, from the small state into the big country, and then whole country unified under Mauryan Empire, and the third king Ashoka became the patron age of Buddhism, and Buddhism expanding. So this time when I talk about it, the aged Buddha, Buddhists may face kind of a serious problem, and that problem remembered some of the Buddhists. So when they profile, gather together the life story of the Buddha, one by one, enter into the life story of the Buddha. So I'm not sure whether it is historically happened or not, but it actually show us kind of a Buddhist justification.
Mhm.
The law of karma, they actually use the law of karma determine everything. So in terms of religion and human nature, maybe during that time Buddhists felt law of karma as a religious dogma more important than suffering and complete everything occur. Everything can be justified with the karma. So my intention to show this is that we Buddhists tend to be regarded as a religion of peace. And Buddhism and then many Japanese, what is it? Namyo-Borakekyo, with the peace of the whole of the world. We are the religion of the peace and so on. But actually, when we check the history of Buddhism, actually the reality is different. So we have a very high hope and high, how can I say, ideals. But the reality is totally different. So I want to talk about this gap in between the two. Because in normal cases, if you go to Buddhist temple, monks only focus on good things. We are religion of the peace and so on. But when we actually saw the world where Buddhism there, the Buddhist kingdom there, they all fight with each other, every day. So how can we see? How can we understand? That's why I was talking about Buddhist way of dealing with it. It's very, very limited because of the individualism. And our individualism has got problems when they're kind of group fighting ethnicity or color of skin or blood and so on. When that kind of a fight occurs, we can't do anything. Hardly anything we can do. So we should accept that kind of that's my intention.
Now, first I have to thank Yoski for indicating that we did a typo, maybe you've not noticed now with the times.